from the last video, they become a huge problem, and we let it take over so much of our life. We let that rule who we are. You know, if I talk from experience, my rejection, my abandonment, I attracted so much negativity in my life, and I didn't deal with anything, and I coped in the most atrocious ways, often hurting people around me and hurting myself the most. Because those people will always be there, but am I there for myself? I'm not, and I haven't been. You know, recently I went on a big journey of just really focusing on myself. And I started to, through seeing my kinesiologist, I started to really confront these things that I blocked off. And a few of them, creativity, communication, what else? Just, you know, being true to myself and loving myself for who I was. I felt like I had to be something that people would see and, I don't know, be like, oh, that's who she is. And it's really funny because I always saw myself as a certain person, and then I've now been having massive changes in my thinking, down to the point where I'm now thinking very mathematical and very creative, and I can now visualize pictures in my head, which was something I couldn't do before. So it is extremely interesting how once we actually start unblocking some of these things that we thought were not a part of us are actually a part of us, and we've blocked them out. And I call it it's almost a deactivation. So we activate certain negative aspects. The behavior is attached to the emotion. So the behavior of, say, being rejected, and then the feeling of rejection or abandonment, and, you know, what that does to our body, because it all creates a physical issue in our body. And then we start putting a spit on that and saying, well, it must be this, it must be that. And in the end, it's actually just when we feel an emotion, our body tenses up if we're stressed. If we're happy, it'll feel calm. So when you're in a stress space as a child, then as you get older, that stress space is remembered by your body. And this is not a spiritual fact, this is just fact. Somebody who has experienced trauma will react in that same way. If a child feels that they can't be in control, they will try to be in control, and this could happen until they're an adult. And it could be quite disastrous to what control they actually create in their space. And we need to open the communication lines and say, this is who I am. For a very, very long time, I've hidden so much of who I am. But lately it's like I can't do that anymore. And it's really good, because to some people it's like, oh, I never knew that about her, that must be a new thing. But it's not, it's just been there for so long that I haven't talked about it. Only two really close people. And it can sometimes be uncomfortable to talk about these things, especially you feel like you're offloading it on people. But see, I don't know if it's just because, you know, I'm going to be a social worker, but I feel like stories are important to work through certain emotions, to then be able to heal. And I think that is really important. It's also important to not have to tell a story. because then you're creating an assumption on what's happened. But sometimes it is important to be able to get past it. It just depends on how big it is for you. It's all very individual. But I have to say that if there's anything you're going to do, it's forgive your small self. Give them a big hug and say, I love you. You're going to be okay. Everything's going to be okay. That's the most important thing. Because that small child doesn't know what's happening. And then that small child becomes a bigger child who still doesn't know what's happening. A teenager who, once again, doesn't feel communicated, heard, feels rejected, abandoned, through all sorts of reasons. And then an adult, a broken adult, who is reacting to all these coping mechanisms. You know, we look at drug users, and there was a science experiment with a rat that had the rat have cocaine, and the one that didn't have any other rats around it loved the cocaine, but the one that didn't go anywhere near the cocaine. It preferred the connection that it had with the other rats. And I think it is imperative to understand that there are people that choose and use recreational drugs, alcohol, whatever. There are also people who have trauma, and we need to really cut down that judgment. It's not always necessarily a choice, nature versus nurture, etc., etc. That's a whole nother story. But I want you to really be true to yourself and start working out who you are, asking yourself, who am I? And who am I showing to others? Because it's really important to start showing yourself and to see yourself transform, because it will make you happy. And it's okay if things change. I've spent nearly 7 years studying a degree. It's okay. Life happens. And I'm in such a better space now. You know, I had to quit something last year to do my degree, and I'm so glad I did, because at the time I couldn't do it. And now I'm in full force. You know, sometimes things just aren't right, and it's okay. It's okay to disappoint people, because in the end, they shouldn't be disappointed. It's your life. We are all individuals, and we need to live our life that way. Even in a relationship, we're still individuals. And it's really important that we're all happy within ourselves. And don't let society, you know, take that away from you. We can integrate what we love doing into how we fit into this world. So I'll leave you there, and I really hope that you can start being your vulnerable, true you, because there's someone inside there behind. You know, I felt like when I look back, I think, oh my goodness, who is that? I don't know anymore. That person is so different to who I am now. I was like living, you know, behind this other face. This tired, exhausted face. And I look at it and I just think, I just don't know who that person is, because this person is true. I speak my truth, and I hold that to a really high level, because I think it's really important in all facets of my life. And I take time out if I need it, and I trust when I need to, you know, use my intuition. So I will talk to you soon, I'm sure. Catch you later.